welcome to Recovery Now. I'm your host, Jim Planas, and today I got a guest from Florida. His name is Pete B. Winiger. How you doing, Pete? Say hi to the folks.
Hey, how y'all doing today? Nice to be on with y'all. Thank you.
Now, Pete has a good story. I met Pete a while back when I lived in Florida, and we worked together. So so we got to know each other. Pete, one of my questions is I like to know how young were you? If you remember when you first started getting high, and if you could remember how old were you the last time you got high?
Oh, I was about 17 when I started smoking marijuana. That started it, and then it was 2009 on my birthday when I became clean, and I was sort of actually thinking about, I don't have that much time left. Let's stop this foolishness, and
Yeah.
not foolishness, but we all put the mask on, and because we don't like ourselves, we start doing drugs and other things, and I was like in my late 50s. Uh,
When you were feeling this way, what caused you to start thinking that you want to recover, that you want to get away from this, that this is
because
not a natural thing?
you just get sick and tired of being that way, sick and tired. You see a lot of people, and what helps is you see other people in recovery. You start going, well, if they can do it, I know I can do it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and you
true.
start realizing of all the wasted time, and you don't want to waste any more time because time is so precious in this life, and you don't want to waste any more time. Enough wasted time, and it was just time. When that you can just
Yeah.
feel it. People can tell you, and but when you would decide yourself, that's when you come to yourself and say, okay,
Um,
let's try this. Let's be serious about this.
I got another question for you. When you were out there, um, doing all these things, did you like was your life out of control? Like, did you do any crazy stuff that you're ashamed of that you would never do again?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Stealing,
Yeah.
stealing to get more drugs. Absolutely embarrassing things. Um, it's. I never really missed work so much. I was kind of a functioning addict,
Right.
but functioning nonetheless. The stealing, and then you run out of money, and then you have a prescription for a drug, and then you don't have enough. You have to buy it on the streets, and it gets to be this chase. You know how it. I mean, I don't know about what your story is, but it
Well,
starts to be this big chase, and that's like a lot of it right there. It's
CP,
really.
you you
Go
you
ahead.
you you have prescription drugs in there. I never even knew what that was. My shit was kicked off from the street, and I
Well,
always, like you, I was a functioning addict. I worked. Everybody
right.
saw me go to work and everything, but I was always broke because
Yeah, I know the
because
feeling.
because I worked.
Absolutely.
I
Yep.
worked to support my habit. Then I
I
would
have
go.
to do
Then I
it.
would go out there and do all the crazy stuff that you talked about, like the stealing and all that stuff,
Yeah.
to to because I still needed more, you know.
Right.
And
Right.
I like you, I started to look around. I started to see what other people had that I should had or could have had, or and I didn't know how to get these things. And what I realized was that I needed to stop what I was doing because that's the only thing that was blocking me from living, from moving ahead. Now,
Right.
when you said that you had enough, what happened to you? I mean, was it that made you want to stop, or
No, it was God actually. Like I don't want to get too religious, but it really has nothing
no?
to do with
I
religion. It's
I
God
agree with
Himself
you on the
that
God thing. I agree with you on the God.
totally, totally on my knees, sweating, in withdrawal from opiates. That it was like, okay, this I can't do this anymore. I just can't. So that's what happened. I just broke, broken all the way to the bottom. Um, mentally and spiritually broken will. will get you to where you want to go. For me, it was that way.
Well,
So
you know what? I had quite a few people in my show, and one of the things besides the habit that we all have in common is what you just said. At first, it's fun getting high. You do it for love, for with your friends, and it's something that you enjoy. But as time goes by, the drug starts to do you, and you wind up being broken.
yeah,
And I never used that term and never thought of it that way, but that is exactly what the drug does to you. It breaks you. It breaks you
yeah,
emotionally, spiritually,
yes,
and and before you know it, you can't even look at people in the eyes or or
no.
or or, or
And you think everybody knows.
yeah,
And you
yeah,
go out, everybody knows I'm high. Everybody
yeah.
knows. But they don't, because I hit it pretty well.
Well,
But that's how
I
you
hit
get
it.
mental.
I hit it for quite a number of years, but after a
Yeah,
while, it does show. And you
yes, it
think,
does.
in my experience, I thought nobody knew, but
Yeah,
everybody could tell because you're not
yeah.
the same person. You
Well,
don't.
my thing is that quitting the drug is the easy part of the whole equation of recovery. What happens afterward is the hard part. How
Right.
am I going to function in society without my drug mask on or my whatever addiction, alcohol, whatever it is? If you, it takes a while to get mentally back. And
Mm,
it's the drug part is not the hardest part. People don't understand sometimes that the hardest part is functioning in society without that. And you
yeah.
have to your mental healing and your brain is is damaged and your whole body is damaged from the abuse and it takes a while for that to repair itself. So that's the part I and still struggle today sometimes. It's one day at a time. Sometimes like, man, I've had enough. And then you think, no, I'm not. I can't do that again. Might be the last time for me, but I'm not going to do it again. It's one day at a time.
Yeah.
And
The
that's the
the
hardest part. Is being mentally clean and spiritually clean and not thinking bad thoughts. So,
I think the mentally clean and spiritual clean part takes a lot longer
oh, it does. You're
to
absolutely right.
that than
Yep.
than the not using drugs, because using
Yes.
drugs, if you truly want to stop, like I said,
Hmm.
there's the program of recovery and there's
Right.
God. Between those two, that's what helped me. And every
Right.
time I wanted to get high, I thought of how screwed up my life is. And if I keep doing this, I will never start. You got to start doing it.
Right.
But
And there was a part where everybody goes, oh, well, maybe you can just do a little bit on the weekend. And I go,
no, no, no,
no.
no,
If you, if
no.
you, especially with the opiates, I don't know, but alcohol
Well,
too,
but
and
that's
a lot of
but
drugs,
that's relapse, Pete. That's
you
relapse.
take one pill or you take one drink, you can really
Yeah.
it can be a 10-year run all of a sudden.
Yeah. That's the
I know people that have been clean 20 years and bam, they had a drink and
yeah.
it really just exploded and it ruined them because they
Uh,
had it. They had it.
I
So
knew the one guy. I told a story before. We don't have a lot of time, but to say it, but he was clean for 26 years.
yeah,
On my, I think it was my second year, and he spoke
right,
at the 101 Club, and he
right,
disappeared. And then a couple years later, I think I was on my fourth year, and I was
right,
speaking at the 101 Club, and this guy walks in from the street all beat up, and he turned out to
yeah,
be the same guy. He
yeah,
made 27 years and had a drink by accident. He said he
yeah.
he went to a casino, picked up the wrong drink, and he lost everything. He lost his business, his wife, everything. And
One drink. Yep,
yep,
one
one
drink.
drink. And I'm
You're right.
that kind. I cannot have one beer
Me neither.
because
Me
I'm in
neither.
trouble. And you are fooling yourself if you tell yourself that one little one, I've been clean long enough, one little one. It doesn't work that way. If you
Well,
have the
there's somebody.
disease, if you have the
We all got
disease,
that.
you're gonna
We
have it
all got
for
that whispering in our ear thing.
yeah,
That
yeah.
good whispering in our ear.
It's like you have the angel on one side and the devil on the other. One to say you can do it.
Absolutely. There's
You
a dark and a light to it.
yeah,
You're absolutely right.
you could do it.
The
One ain't
dark side
gonna
must be going
nobody
away.
gonna know. Nobody gonna know, and then you get away with
One day,
it.
though.
and then you have a second one. Nobody knows, and before you know it, you're back in the habit.
And then the
And
guilt comes back in, and the
yeah,
shame, and the
and then
whole thing.
everything that you accomplished, what you would clean, you will lose. Now,
And
I
it's worse the second time. It's worse when you goes 2, 3. It gets worse. I mean, I know guys, women too, that have been 25 rehabs.
wow,
I can't even fathom that. Like some of the people we used to take care of at where we worked. I don't have to mention it, but
yeah,
you know how there are 30 people that we knew that passed away. They
yeah,
go
yeah.
AMA, against medical advice, or they complete the program, and then you hear later on, oh, they didn't make it, they overdosed, and it's really sad.
And even what's worse is, um, since we hit on that, do you
Mhm.
remember? We can't mention names, but do you
No.
remember some of the clients that bought the shit into the rehab and
Oh
overdosed
yeah.
and died in the rehab? Do you remember?
Yes. Yes.
That's one of the reasons that I am glad that I don't work at a rehab in Florida. I'm here
Right.
in Waterbury, Connecticut, and
Right.
the rehabs I work in, you're not allowed to go out. You
Right.
know,
Right.
so
That's the problem.
that's
You're
why
absolutely right.
I took the job, because the clients are the only time they go out is when you take them to a medical.
The meetings,
Yeah,
right? The meetings or something,
yeah.
right?
Other than that, no, and the meetings come to them.
I
So
love the meetings.
yeah,
I really liked taking clients to meetings. That was
yeah.
my favorite.
Yeah, I
That was
miss
nice.
that too. I miss that too. And we get a
Yeah.
meeting too. We get a meeting while we're there. Cause
Right.
I
Right.
used to go into the meetings. I wouldn't stay in the van. You know.
Sure.
But
Sure.
Pete, let me ask you something. Since okay, how many rehabs did you go to before you got clean?
I never went to rehab
Never?
at all. Never detoxed. I used Subutex to get
Okay.
off the opiates, and my route was more of Ten Commandments, biblical, Calvary
So it
Chapel,
was
Fort
God.
Lauderdale,
It was
that
God.
route.
Okay. See, to
So
me,
that was my recovery. That was my rehab. Was
right.
was was godly church and stuff like that.
No, but that
Calvary
is
has
good. That's good.
But Calvary has a Calvary house. They do, you know how they do. They do more of a spiritual cleansing instead of
Right.
they don't use the gabapentin and the Seroquel and all that. I know some
Mm.
people might need that, but I don't go that way. I think
I
it's a spirit. I think a lot of it is a spiritual condition. So
I think it's better that when you go into a rehab or whatever, and they
mhm.
offer you these things to so that you don't get the urge to do the street drugs.
Right,
I think
right.
you should just suffer and get clean with the
Mhm.
program alone without the other drugs, because
Yeah,
they're drugs anyway. They're still drugs to get you
yeah,
off the drugs,
they
and
are.
then you hook to those drugs, you know,
I, would-
and
I would I would say in detox, when you first go to detox, then you may need something, but once you get into that um, recovery, that treatment center after how long you've been in detox, then not so much the drugs.
mm,
It's kind of, you can do it. It's hard. It's not easy to quit drugs, and since you're so used to them, and it's really
mm.
the hardest thing I've ever done.
But you
And
did it. See, that's the thing.
yeah,
Um,
I know.
sometimes
Yeah.
we have to suffer. Sometimes we have to deal with
Mm.
the pain to get to,
Yeah.
if we truly want something. Sometimes that's the way to go. You know, if you
Yeah.
take the easy way out, I'm sorry, but that's why a lot of people are always in trouble, because they always take the easy way out. That's why it's the easy way out. So if you
Agreed. I
the
agree.
hard way, sometimes
That's
you
right.
have to go the hard way and suffer. Jesus suffered, you know.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
what's wrong with us suffering? You know,
Nothing. Nothing.
if he's gonna heal us, I don't see
Oh,
nothing
it
wrong with
will.
it. I
It
don't see
will. I
nothing
mean,
wrong with it.
you're either going to suffer and get over it, or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
You're gonna eventually not make it, or you're gonna look. I've seen people that I've known for a while, and they've been to rehab, and I see them now, and it's just sad because they don't look good, and they're drinking, and alcohol is really bad too. It's
Mm.
legal, and you don't have to make a phone call. You just go to the store and buy it. It's really, really bad.
See, so is
But
weed is that way now. They even
yeah.
got places where you could sit down and smoke. They
Oh, I
supp-
know. And
they supply
I
you.
do
They
not
supply
agree.
you with the
Right,
paper, with the
right,
pipes, with everything. So
right.
you know, on one of our shows, we were talking about how the government's making all these things legal
Yeah. I don't agree with that.
because they're getting their cut off of it, you know.
I don't
So they
agree
figure,
with the
okay,
whole.
we getting paid, and we'll do it like this, we'll do it like that. Before you know it, there's going to be a lot of other drugs in the market that are going to be
I
legal
agree. I
somehow.
don't agree with you because I work, where I work, everybody seems to be smoking marijuana these days. You can smell it everywhere, and
Oh,
it's just, I don't think it's good. I
here
don't like
too.
that. I don't
Here
like that at
too.
all.
I work at a facility, Pete, and so the clients get to go out to work or get passes to
Right,
go see their
right,
families. So
right.
sometimes, and when they come in, we have to search them to make sure they don't bring nothing. You know, the say
Right.
you know the routine when food delivery, you
Yeah,
gotta search everything.
yeah,
So
right.
sometimes they come in, as soon as they walk in, you can smell it, and you tell them you've been. Oh well, I got a pass. You know, I have a medical card. But what the
Yeah,
people don't
that's right.
realize is that it's like liquor. If you're driving and you get caught drinking and driving, you're in
Right.
trouble. If
You
you in
know,
the
it doesn't matter
facility,
if you have a medical
yeah,
marijuana card, you're
that
in
only
trouble if
said
you're driving.
that only says you could do it at home. You know,
Right.
that's all it
Yep.
says. It does. If you're in a facility, it's still illegal to
Right.
to drink.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so we see that too. We see that at where I work at, and a lot of
Yeah.
people
So
don't get it. A lot of people think, okay, it's
yeah.
okay. And it's going to get worse before it gets
Right.
better. You
Well,
know,
I have been clean for 16 years,
why?
and I don't smoke pot or drink or anything. And a lot of people are saying they've been clean, but they're on this like marijuana
Yeah,
treatment
so
things, and
they're not
that's
clean.
not really being clean.
They're not clean.
I mean, it's
I'm,
really not. It makes you different. It makes it deadens your senses. You're not as quick. You get lazy, and it's not something that I think is a good way to recover
no, it's
using
not.
another drug like Suboxone. Actually, Subutex and Suboxone are a good thing for short-term recovery.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not a bad
but
thing. I
a
don't think
lot
it's
of people, Pete, they're in a rehab and they can't get any drugs. These things that only give you a minute high, second high, they settle
right.
for that. They would get it if they could get an extra Suboxone, they would do it. You
Oh, I know.
know,
I,
or
I know.
if they could get an extra bottle and drink it, they would do it. And then
Right, right.
you got the gummies when you in
Yeah,
the when you in the rehab
yeah,
and you smoke weed and you have a medical card, they give you gummies. That's
right.
they got the gummies and the pill. Now,
Yeah.
if you supposed to take only two gummies a day, one in the morning, one in the
Oh,
evening.
we all know how that goes. The
Yeah,
prescription says take one, you take four. I mean, that's what I
and then you're really high because we had a guy that got off the bed and he was taking extras and he crashed into the wall and cracked his head.
That's what happened at
Yeah.
where we used to work. A guy who was IOP was allowed to go out. He
Hmm.
brought something back, hit his head, and he passed away, or he died right on the property.
Yeah.
And that had a lot to do with the place being shut down. And this one, Mister, what's his name, running off. And that was a
Yeah.
great rehab.
I was gone by
But it
then,
was a
so
small rehab. It was a small rehab, and he should have kept it that way. He was helping people, and it was greed
it
that
was
I
like a
think
family.
influenced it.
It make you feel like you were at home with your
Right.
family. Cause
And
I used to.
you and I know that both of us got let go for the wrong reasons. But that's
Yeah,
another story.
but
Let's
that's
get back to
another
the recovery.
story.
Let's get back to the recovery thing because
Now,
I got to go.
Pete,
But
what I want to
um,
ask you before we
I
end
wanted to tell
is,
you I've been clean for 16 years. It'll be my birthday, May 16th.
yeah,
It's coming up,
I'm
and
going
it's
on
been
14 August 29. Pete,
right,
what's your life
right.
like since you got clean? What's your life been like so that people could see the
Different,
difference?
different. I save money. I don't spend money I shouldn't. I don't regret. I love getting up early, praying, going to the gym. When I was doing these things, I never went to. I was a mess. I was overweight. No teeth. I got new teeth now. A little expensive, but hey, now I got the money to pay for them because I'm not using.
Yeah,
So
right.
it opens up a whole new life for yourself. You can get the new teeth, you can get your body fixed up, go to the gym, have money, be a part of society, a functioning part of
You
society where
could
you're
you could
actually
actually
helping
live
people.
and enjoy life.
Yeah, and you're helping people too. We always
Yeah.
help people. I don't have to be working in a rehab to help people because you can spot people. It seems like God points people out. Oh, they need a smile. All it takes is a smile, a handshake, a kind word to people once in a while. It'll make their day. They might be on a suicidal mission or thinking about killing themselves, and you kind of give them a smile or a talking to. You might save a life that way.
Yeah.
It's not as complicated as everybody thinks it is. If
No,
everybody would put their phone down
yeah.
and talk
Is
to
it like
people, it might
robots?
work.
People look like robots nowadays, just with the phones every
It's
time.
out of
And then
control.
but when you call them, nobody answers the phone.
I know it's out of
So
control. I know,
yeah.
but that's another
So
story. So how
Pete,
long have you been clean?
I'm going on 14 years, August
Really?
29. So
That's excellent.
no
Excellent.
relapse. My first 2 years were kind of difficult because
Yeah.
the first year I fought not relapsing. Then once I
Right.
made the first year, I said to myself, yeah, I did it. But then because
Right.
I took that attitude, like, okay, if I make
Oh
one
yeah, I
year,
got this. Right.
yeah. So I tell
That's
people, I
dangerous when you
tell,
do that. Like, oh, I
yeah,
got this. I've been to 4 meetings. I got this. I don't need to go to meetings anymore. It
yep, yep.
doesn't
And I tell
doesn't
people, you do
your ego
not
gets
have
in the way.
this. If you have
Yeah,
this disease, it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. You're going to
absolutely.
need help. You're going to
And a
need
lot of
God's
people say, oh, it's
help.
not a disease. So
And
some people say, oh, it's not a disease. I got this.
it
Well,
is a
I
disease.
actually believe it is a disease, and
I
it's
have it,
the
so I
disease of
know.
addiction. And there's a lot of different. There's food addictions. There's gambling addictions. There's
There's all kinds
substance
of
abuse. There's
addictions.
all
That's
kinds
just
of stuff.
it. My sister, me and her, we talk about addictions all the time, and
Right.
she's very good. She understands because she has a food addiction, and it's just like
Right.
drugs. She says to me,
Yeah.
"This is my drug,"
Yeah.
and
That's true.
we compare notes, we talk
Yeah.
about, and I mean any kind of addiction. A lot of people leave the drug and alcohol addiction and replace it with another
Yeah.
addiction. Mine is TV, and I love TV. I love
Yeah.
watching TV. I could
Right.
watch, yeah, and especially horror movies, sci-fi movies.
Well,
I love that stuff, and
yeah.
I
Well, I'd
just
rather watch TV than be strung out on some kind of
yeah,
substance.
me too.
So,
But
I know what you mean. I
what
know
I
what you mean.
realized is, Pete, that there's other stuff to do out there in the world to
Right.
live than to replace one addiction with another, no matter what it
Right.
is. I mean,
Right.
I wound up going fishing the other day, first time in 30 something years.
Okay, fishing.
I took a vacation last year and saw my grandson, my son, first time in
Right.
20 years that I
Well,
seen my
that's good.
son. And so,
If you would have been in the middle of addiction, you may never would have done that because you would have been embarrassed,
right,
or
and I
you
was
wouldn't have
still
the money to do it.
I
You wouldn't have the money to do it.
when my
Right.
son found me, I was working with you at that
Right.
place, and I was
Right.
on my third year of recovery, and
Hmm.
I was looking for family members, and somebody told me about Facebook, and
I
boom,
remember that. I remember
yeah,
that.
and so I started finding families, but the last year
Family's
was the
important.
first time in 20 years, and so I got my plane ticket already for June that I'm going back to Colorado to see my son, my grandkids, and I got two great granddaughters
Where are you going to be like June 21st through July 5th?
here.
Because I'm coming up there. I'm coming to Connecticut and New York.
Okay, so let me know. We'll
I
talk
will.
about that and we could meet up.
I will. I will. We can go have a cherry coke or something.
Okay, yeah,
I like. See, I was at a concert last night over here. A friend of mine has a band, and I'm in a band, and
yeah,
all this alcohol. I just see people. They start the evening, and it gets louder and louder, and these people are driving home. It's really dangerous, the alcohol
yeah,
consumption, and it's just refreshing to have people like you and myself that are out here trying to
Mhm.
help people and trying to better ourselves and spread the word that you do not have to be addicted to anything. You can be addicted to Jesus Christ. That's a good thing.
That's it.
You know,
Jesus
it's hard.
Christ, God,
Right.
God, be addicted to wanting to help other people, to see other
Yes,
people do
yes,
better,
yeah,
that kind of
yeah,
stuff. Because that's why I do this. This show
right,
is for those who watch the show. Um,
right,
so they could listen to what you're saying, how you came
right.
along and got clean, and now you got a
Hmm.
good life. You live it, you're happy, and the same thing with me. So everybody that comes in my show, even though they have a different story, how it happened
Right,
to them, we all wind up clean and sober, and we want
right.
to spread the message. So this is
Yeah,
my way.
in closing here, because I do have to run, and I
Okay,
apologize for that, but I'd like to do this again. It would be an honor to do it for you guys, you and Al and everybody else, and I appreciate him too. You know, every day is not going to be, when you get clean, it's not going to be some perfect world. You're still going to have some of the same problems, but how are you going to deal with them?
it's different.
Don't run for a drink, don't run for, just deal with it. Pray about it, deal with it. Or, it'll be better that way than masking it with some kind of substance or whatever you are doing. Just go get through it, because God will get you through it.
Right.
He will.
No,
That's the way I recovered.
life is beautiful, and we need to learn
It
to
is.
live it without drugs. We are almost out of time, Pete.
Gratitude is the key. Gratitude.
Yes, and always put your trust in God,
Yes,
and never be afraid to stand out your hand to those unfortunate people, whatever
exactly.
wherever it has to do with drugs, or they're hungry, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So,
Like I,
Pete,
like I said earlier, a smile or a kind word can go a long way in this world. We're not supposed to be tearing people down with our words. We're supposed to be building them up.
right.
So
So,
that's what
Pete,
we try to
Pete,
do. Me and you, I know we do, and a lot of other people as well.
in
Thank
that
you.
in that word, I'm gonna let you go.
Okay,
Thank
I
you, thank
appreciate
you
it.
for being in the show, everybody. This is my friend Pete. He's from Florida, and he's good people, and he's in recovery just like me. So I'm
Thank you,
gonna
Joe.
say you're very welcome, Pete.
And I'd like
So,
to do anything you need. If you want me to do this again, I can do this anytime you like. All right.
okay, that's for sure.